Lots of big name retail CEOs here on the ground at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. One of those big names, Ralph Lauren CEO Patrice Louvet. Patrice, good to see you. We've now talked around the world.
Here,
so
right.
Before we get into the issues of the day, I posted something on how I prepare for this event on LinkedIn. I take this stuff pretty seriously.
I could tell.
How do you prepare for an event like this where you're in 50, 60 meetings a day, maybe more? I don't know.
Yeah, I was very inspired by your post,
I
by the way.
appreciate
So
that. Thank you.
Very impressive. It's interesting because even just beyond the week here, I think the parallel between professional athletes and corporate athletes is real, right? And if you think about it, tennis players, the Australian Open going on right now, right? They play a match every day. A match is 3 to 4 hours, or a match every 2 days. We play every day. Our match is, 10, 12 hours. Our career is not 10, 15 years. It's 40 plus years. So you have to take some of the approaches, I think, in the professional athlete world are so relevant in the professional world. And fundamentally, I think it's all about managing your energy, right? And how do you replenish your energy? So things like, it's pretty basic, but it's pretty powerful. Are you hydrating? Are you getting enough sleep? Is your nutrition the right one, right? You've been very deliberate.
No, I'm serious. That post was serious.
I know.
I'm not making any of that stuff up.
Well, look at the result.
Oh, you're too kind. How do you manage those things for you? Ralph Lauren it's a global company. It's around the clock.
Right.
And if you're not careful, I imagine things can get out of control. You reach for that crumpet, or you reach for that soda.
True.
What are your hacks? I guess
intentionality, right? Just intent. So, for example, people are very proud to go from meeting to meeting. I have systematic breaks in between my meetings of generally half an hour, right? And people go, well, how can you have a productive day with so many breaks? But actually, I needed to be engaged, to be able to contribute, for the teams to feel like I'm here, I'm present. So it's things like that. It's not rocket science, but it takes intentionality, and I think being proactive as opposed to being reactive on everything that's happening.
I cut a promo ahead of this interview, and I teased that Ralph Lauren is a company exposed to tariff risk. It's a company maybe that does a lot of business in China. I'm not sure I got it 100% correct. Help us understand your international sourcing. How exposed are you to China, Europe, et cetera?
So we've diversified our sourcing pretty dramatically over the past 7-8 years. We used to be very dependent on China. China was more than 50% of our sourcing. Today it's low single digit, mid single digit. What we've come to realize, and this is true for sourcing, but it's true for our overall approach as a company, is diversification is critical, right? So diversifying our supply chain. So obviously we're paying the attention to tariffs. As you can imagine, we didn't start to think about it yesterday. We've been planning for this for a while, but I think we're nicely set up to navigate this more volatile environment because of the diversification of sourcing that we have, whether that's markets in Asia. We have a lot of nearshoring, both here for North America or here in Europe. And for us, this ability to flex and to stay agile and nimble, I think has served us pretty well and is going to continue to be a priority.
Can you get 0% from China? Can you fully move out of China?
China has some unique expertise in certain categories for us. Some of our more sophisticated sweaters are made in China. Some of our more sophisticated footwear is made in China. I think under duress, we could always find alternatives. And as you can imagine, we're running all types of scenarios to be prepared. But again, what's important for us is multiplicity of sourcing options. I don't want to be dependent on just one market or one supplier, and agility and the flexibility, which honestly was honed during COVID, right? And then the flexibility that was required during that time.
Is a 25% tariff on China, is that a duress moment?
Well, it's a pressure point, but again, I think we can work through it and we can manage it. I think we've lived with tariffs already. It's not a new concept, and we've been able to navigate that.
Does it mean higher prices for U.S. shoppers?
It likely translates into higher pricing for consumers at the end. Yeah.
I was speaking to a board member of a large electronics company here on the ground, and they said every board meeting now is involved with tariffs. Most of their meetings are fully thinking about how do they reposition supply chains. Are you thinking about other things at the board level besides tariffs?
Brian, we are not obsessed with tariffs.
Okay.
We are obsessed with our consumer. We're obsessed with making sure we're giving him and her an incredible experience around the world. We're obsessed with bringing new consumers into the Ralph Lauren world. We're excited about the Australian Open partnership we have going on there right now, and many other things for this coming year. Tariffs is part of running the business. And listen, there's regulation is another element. There are a number of elements we need to take into account to successfully manage the business. This company's been around for 57 years. We've seen many administrations in the US, around the world. We've seen many different policies around the world. I think if we can stay really focused on the consumer, making sure we're staying true to who we are and what we represent, we will be able to navigate.
Is the U.S. consumer, are they in a better place?
I think we'll report our holiday results in a couple of weeks. I think that our consumer is pretty resilient, and that's true in the U.S. and that's true in most of the key markets. So I'm hopeful that with this new administration, we'll see a greater degree of optimism from consumers. I mean, they've had a tough time since COVID, right? And I think the mood's been pretty gloomy since COVID. So hopefully there's more optimism, but also ultimately translates to more engagement in brands and categories like ours.
I've been amazed, I think we talked about this before, I've been amazed by the store closures by department stores. I mean, Macy's, a lot of like legacy locations. How is this shaping the future of a company like yours?
So for us, the filter is very clear. We want the brand to show up in a place where we can tell our story authentically, and that's profitable. And it's pretty clear, and you and I have talked this in prior months, that we were over-distributed, and we are in locations where we could not showcase the brand in the right way, or that were not financially viable. As you know, as we've talked, we've reduced our footprint in North America by about 2/3 of department store doors, which I think was required. It's enabled the continued elevation of our brand, so I feel very good about that move. And I think some of the statements that you've seen from Tony Spring at Macy's saying he's going to shut down 150 doors, I think is right. I think if you cannot provide the consumer with an amazing experience and great service, then you should close.
What does the tie-up on the other end? You had a merger of Saks and Neiman Marcus. What is that? I mean, these are two iconic luxury department stores. How does that change the complexion of your business?
So those are separately two great partners with whom we've been doing business for many, many years, and we love the relationship that we have with them. I think this will strengthen both entities, so 1 + 1 = 3. And listen, strong partners is beneficial to companies like ours. So I'm excited about the move. I'm excited that Mark will be leading that transformation, and I think both companies have things to learn from each other. I look forward to a lot of the Saks digital capabilities translating into Neiman's, and there are other things that will go the other way. But I think that's a positive move for the industry.
You've really led a major transformation at the company. What's next over the next 12 months for your company?
Well, part of it is more of the same, right? Because I think what Ralph has built over the past 57 years with the teams is consistency and clarity of what we stand for, driven by our purpose, clarity on our values, and not trying to get distracted by fads or trends. While we are categorized as a fashion company, we really view ourselves more as in being in the dreams business and more of a lifestyle company. And so you're going to see us continue to engage consumers in a way that's exciting, in a way that's interesting to them. We have, as I mentioned, the Australian Open partnership going on right now. There are a lot of sports activities going on for the coming year. We have our presentation of our men's line going on in Milan over the next few days. And you're going to continue to do that with a laser focus on exciting and delighting our consumers.
It feels like, obviously on the ground here at WEF, there's a lot of focus on AI. It feels like I'm going back to college here. And it feels like companies are taking humans away from me. I just want to interact with a human, Patrice. Aren't humans important in the retail business? Don't we still need them? Aren't they helpful in selling me a shirt? Don't I still need them in customer service? And what's the risk to retail from this spreading of AI?
So humans are critical, particularly for companies that sell experiences. And they're about inspiring the dream of a better life, right? Humans are not going away in our business. And I often reassure Ralph to say, don't worry, you will not get obsoleted.
So he's worried about AI.
Don't worry, you will not get obsoleted by AI. But it's proving to be a pretty effective co-pilot, if I can use that terminology, to support our teams and just to be more effective, more productive, and unexpectedly more creative. And then I do think, Brian, there are areas where the technology is what consumers are looking for, right? If you're going to replenish a pair of socks, then you're happy to buy it online. You don't necessarily need the human interaction. But certainly in our business and in the experiential business, you can't imagine that without an interaction with the human.
Is Ralph the last of a generation of the last, I guess, great design forces? And I bring this up, are we 25 years from now, is the next great designer or fashion mogul an AI agent?
I don't think so.
Good.
I don't think so. I think every generation brings incredible talent with it. That's very true in the fashion space as well. Ralph is special. Ralph is the only in many ways. As you know, he was recognized by President Biden a couple of weeks ago with the Medal of Freedom. I think it represents not only what the impact he's had in fashion, but the impact he's had in culture, the impact he's had in philanthropy, and just he's an incredible entrepreneur, right? Are there other individuals that will have that well-rounded profile? I don't know, but I remain hopeful that there'll be a lot of visionaries in our space moving forward.
I hope it's not Joey or Jenny the robot. I mean, that's for sure. But look, to your point, I mean, I know that was a tremendous honor for Ralph and the team. How has he been able to stay so relevant? Because that is not the norm, especially in retail.
Curiosity. Curiosity. Ralph is 85. He could have rested on his laurels 25 years ago, 30 years ago. What drives him is his desire to learn, to discover new things, and to stay hungry. One of the things that I find very touching is as soon as we're done with the fashion show, he enjoys it for about 12 seconds, and then he's focused on the next one. And how do I do better? Yeah. And how do I beat this one? And what do I need to do to really raise the bar? And I think that mindset, which is exhausting, but he does a good job managing his energy as well, I think is what's kept this company so vibrant for so long, right? And then curiosity. Listen, Ralph was not naturally on TikTok, right, or on Instagram. He probably wasn't one of the early adopters. I think it's fair to say that. But he got on the platforms really quickly, and he guided the teams in terms of how to bring our story to life on those platforms with our other lead designers, and I think that's at the very heart of this company, which is this constant reinvention, staying true to who we are from a value standpoint and a philosophy standpoint, but constant reinvention in terms of how we show up. Listen, we started with a tie. I appreciate you wearing one, Brian, by the way. We have one of the hottest restaurants in New York, right? We have 35 coffee shops around the world. Who would have thought that would have happened? And had Ralph stayed with ties, I don't think we'd be having a conversation today. So that's at the very heart of his philosophy and our philosophy as a company.
Let's bring this full circle before we go. We started this talking about being a great, energetic leader and how you do it. What have you learned from Ralph through the years, and how has he changed you as a leader?
Oh, in many different ways. First of all, Ralph has taught me to dream. I come from Procter & Gamble, as I think you know. I spent 28 years at Procter & Gamble, an amazing company.
Good company.
Amazing company, where I learned a lot of leadership traits. But learning how to dream is not one of the things that we were focused on at P&G when I was in charge of the Pampers business or the Gillette business.
P&G friends, I did not say that. I did not say it, but go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I can
okay.
say it.
Okay.
I can say
okay.
it with all due respect to all my P&G friends.
Okay.
The other area is this sense of just a greater degree of experimentation, right? We have tried. I mean, our coffee shop started with a failure, and yet he stuck with it because he believed in it. And now, we're really happy with the consumer response we're seeing. The third one, which was really intriguing, it came from a question he asked me a few years ago. He said, "Patrice, are you happy?" I'm like, what an odd question to ask in the business context. And no one certainly ever asked me that in the business context, right? Really keeping in mind that you got to talk to the heart of individuals, not just their minds. And people get motivated by how you talk to their hearts, not just their minds. And I think that's actually been really, really impactful on me.
I think you just helped a lot of people. Let's drop the mic here on that one. Ralph Lauren CEO, Patrice Louvet, good to see you. We've now talked around the world.
Fantastic. Yeah. Looking forward to being in Asia with you.
Yeah, okay, I don't know about all that, but maybe back in New York City. Patrice, good to see you.
Thank you, Brian.